Where are we starting today? We start with the Boy Genius record, or we
We can
start
do
with
that.
the Tyler?
I doesn't make
Yeah, I
any
kind of want to
difference.
start with the Boy Genius record because I kind of feel like it's really groovy.
Yeah, I like that one. Honestly, I like that one better. If
I do too. I don't love the Tyler records. The Tyler records are all really good, but I don't love any of them. There's
yeah,
not one of those records where I'm like, ooh, hey,
yeah,
they're really solid records, and we're going to cover the one that I think we feel is the most
yeah.
compatible and comparable today.
hmm
But just tell me about the band, the group Boy Genius, because I'm not really privy like at all.
So the first half of this is about Boy Genius's song "Strong Enough." This is kind of a super group, I guess. It's three women who are solo artists who have come together to be a group together. Phoebe
Okay.
Bridgers, who is the most famous of the three, has played on Saturday Night Live and the whole deal. She's much more famous than the other two, but the other two are Julian Baker and Lucy Dacus are both established singer-songwriters in their own right too. So they're all three have come together to make this band, and they have made EPs like short pieces before this, but not. I don't think. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments, but to be perfectly honest, I did not know about them until very recently either. This
Okay.
is this is a new thing for me. My friend Emily made a playlist for me on Spotify of when I said I was going to start doing like reviews of new songs and stuff like that. She made me a list of things that are newer stuff that she thought I would like, and there's another song that they made called "Emily, I'm Sorry," which is also a great song. There's a video on actually on Mirror Music where I'm like doing a reaction to that, like for my first.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I
It's
saw that
it's a
briefly.
beautiful song. It's very different from this one. Anyway, this is another one of those songs that this one was released. They released four like about a month ago, and
Mhm.
then the whole album came out last Friday. We're doing this on April 7th. For me, it's the best record that I've heard this year, like of and like so far anyway, like as from end to end. Not this particular song, but like the whole album is pretty solid all the way through. I guess the purpose of this show is to like break it down lyrically and to like talk about like what we hear and like newer stuff. I mean, the bigger picture idea, I guess, is that I'm looking for, and I think you are too, looking for newer stuff that I like. Like, obviously, we can listen to stuff that we listened to in high school or college or whatever, and it's still awesome or whatever. But there's, tons of music being released every day, and I want to like find stuff that I like that's new.
And it's and and there's nothing wrong with what we grew up on. It's just, I mean, aren't you a little tired of it?
Yeah, I want to hear new things. Like, I want to hear new things. So,
Yeah, like I'm not gonna listen to Southern Playalistic and get excited the way that I used to.
right, right,
I'm not.
yeah,
It's just not gonna happen. I've listened to it too much. And
yeah,
so I am kind of like on the search for the next thrill, like the next
yeah.
thing musically that excites me. And it's no disrespect to the prior music. It's just like, I know
I
it
want some new
backwards and
stuff now.
forwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it
I
backwards and forwards.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this again is my favorite one that I've heard so far this year. Obviously it's just the beginning of April, and especially for a band that I like. I'd kind of heard the name and I knew who Phoebe Bridgers was. Like kind of in the back of my brain, kind of in the ether, out in culture or whatever, but had not really
Mhm.
listened to the songs, had not really been aware of it until I listened to the whole thing. I was like, oh, this is nice. This is nice. So, um,
Uh,
the album is called The Record. That's the name of the album. And I would recommend
mhm.
anybody watching this to go listen to the whole thing. Not strong enough. The song is. I mean, the bigger ideas that I come with are like I'm recognizing about myself that almost all of the new music that I'm drawn to, like in the last couple of years, almost all of the new music that I'm drawn to has female vocalists. Almost all of it. So, and I don't know if this is just like women are putting out better music now in this
Yes.
genre right now, or it's just like what I'm pulled to. But like almost all of the bands and new groups that I've heard, that I'm like, oh, and I'm listening to the album over and over and over again. Angel Olsen and Camp Cope and First Aid Kit and the and Boy Genius and like there's a bunch of them. That Wet Leg is another one that I did a reaction video about. Like they're all female vocalists, so that's just an interesting interesting piece. I can't hear the title phrase of the song "Not Strong Enough" without thinking of the Sheryl Crow song, "Strong Enough to Be My Man," which is a mid-90s song. Um,
Okay.
this song does not sound anything like that one at all.
Yeah.
But it's the title and the structure of it's different too, because the Sheryl Crow song asks, "Are you strong enough to be my man?" And this one is, um, "I am not strong enough to be your man." Like, so it's like the other way around.
So
And
yeah,
it's
it's
interesting
written.
because they're female vocalists singing it too. They all would identify as queer. I think that's the word they would use, all three of them. But so it's an interesting inversion.
Well, one of the things that I really like didn't notice about the record the first time that I
Mhm.
noticed second time around is like, oh, it's written from the perspective of a man.
Mhm.
And when I realized that, it's like when I was like, okay, let me go listen to it a third time.
Yeah.
Because just and I say this in a positive way, the melody is catchy enough
Mhm.
that you can kind of get lost
Yeah.
without really catching the words. And you and I have
Yep.
talked about that frequently on this show, how a good melody will make you like forget whatever the words, and you're just mumbling, you just know it sounds good and feels
Yep.
good to you.
And that's how it did for me too the first times I listened to it as well.
If you listen to the words, I mean, the songwriting, how it starts off, where it goes, black hole opened in the kitchen.
It's a pretty dark song. Yeah.
Yeah, every clock's a different time. Thank you. So it's very, very dark. Listen to the repetitive, I guess, like bridge slash
Hmm.
hook. Always an angel, never a god.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's simple, stupid, but it's really deep.
Yeah. That one of the things I pointed out, one of the there's lots of like song references, and one of the things I like doing when I write album reviews and talk about like this is I say this sounds kind of like this to me. I mean, she tells you in the song like sort of the citation, drag racing through the canyon, singing Boys Don't Cry" is an old Cure song from the early 80s. I don't know if everybody watching this knows the Cure. You would recognize Robert Smith, the singer, if you looked him up. The song "Boys Don't Cry" that they cite in the second verse of the song is a reference to the kind of song it sounds like too.
Oh,
But
okay.
coming back around to what you were saying about the angel and the God part, the two most famous ones that I know of, the "All in All is All We Are" from the End of All Apologies, it kind of does that. He repeats it over and over and over again. Um, and there's a less famous one outside of like the indie rock community from a band called Wilco, and the song's called "Shot in the Arm," and says maybe all I need is a shot in the arm, and he repeats that over and over and over and over again at the end again too. So it's another one of those kind of outros. And I mean, always an angel, never a god. I mean, it works on a couple levels, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it is echoing always a bridesmaid, never a bride. I mean, which fits with the theme of the song, the structure. And obviously angel we tend, even though most of the biblical angels are men or male. We tend to, when we think angel, or at least most people think angel, they're thinking female. I think, and gods are. I mean, you would say goddess if you were talking about a female, even in like Greek mythology sense. So, there's like that male female thing too,
Yeah, the
which
contortion
which
and the
which, which
flipping of
tracks
it.
which tracks with "Not Strong Enough to Be Your Man." Like it works that way as well.
Correct. The subtle role switch and thereby emasculation.
This whole album, or much of this album, is about they're not breakup songs exactly, but they're like little snapshots of that.
They're
Um,
tumultuous relationship songs.
yeah, they are. This one
Yeah.
particularly, and and one of the things I love about it is, and I love songs that where the where the melody and the rhythm and the sound of the music doesn't necessarily match up directly with the message of the song. Because you were talking about this yourself just a minute ago. Like you hear, because this is kind of a chipper sounding song, like a bouncy, mid-tempo rock and roll song. And you actually listen to what they're saying, you're like, ooh, black hole opened in the kitchen, like you said, like every clock's a different time. It's a little darker. Like
Heavy man.
black hole opens up and like what do black holes do? They suck everything into
See, and it's funny,
right.
and just in your nonverbal hand gesture, it's like, okay, so when you heard that, you heard that the black hole was above. When I heard it was below. So I'm picturing the dining room table
Hmm.
and appliances and stuff getting sucked in from the bottom. That's my visual of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's cool though. It's either way, it's like sucking in
Mhm.
everything that used to be. I mean, obviously, and at the end of the song, they're driving home, or the person who's narrating the song is driving home alone,
Right.
like driving past the exit to their old house.
The final piece of the song is the sense of finality to the relationship as
Hmm.
well. So this is like kind of it's a memory lane type of song in terms
Hmm.
of, you know, what I mean,
Yeah.
it's a nostalgic kind of like what we had is lost and gone type
Hmm.
of like love song and melody. But the melody of it, the rhythm of it is really tricky, yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting because most relationship songs, like about broken relationships, like cast blame usually on the other person. And this one is not exactly saying it's all my fault, but it's like separating out the like it's saying some of this is yours and some of this is mine. Like
Mhm.
I'm not it's not I'm not strong enough to be your man because you're a nightmare. It's
Because
I'm not strong enough to
nightmare.
be your man because we both have our issues. Like I have my shit too. Like I mean the going into the chorus it says I don't know why I am the way I am, right? And I love how those lines are put together. They're one of those things where the line kind of goes into each other. They call them enjammed is the fancy poetry term for them, where the doesn't really stop at the end of the line. Because it goes, hold on, I don't know why I am the way I am. So I don't know the phrase, it goes both, I don't know why I am the way I am, but also that last I am goes with I am not strong enough to be your man. Like it's part of that second phrase as well. So it kind of goes over the end of the line. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It says, I don't know why I am the way I am. There's something in the static. I think I've been having revelations.
that's the very end. Yeah.
Coming to in the front seat nearly empty. Skip the exit to our old street and go home.
Hmm.
Home alone.
Yeah. Also as a sidebar, the the Emily I'm Sorry song, which actually comes before this song on the record, um, references somebody is narrated from the perspective of somebody sitting in the car and somebody else is like passed out in the car with them. So it's almost like the same person is waking up. Like it's the two are connected in that way.
I hadn't thought of it on that level. Okay.
But
Now
yes, I mean, like the black hole, like it's literally a relationship collapsing on itself.
you were telling me that what's Phoebe Rogers? Is that
Bridgers, Bridgers, like bridge with ers on the end of it.
Phoebe Bridgers?
Yeah,
Now, who is she? Because you're saying she's kind of like a big deal. Is she a big deal because of this band, or was she a big deal before this
she's a
band,
big
or
deal as a
why?
solo artist before that. I think.
Okay,
Like
so
I'm
she
not.
was something.
She's not my like. I don't want to say again. Phoebe Bridgers is one of those people that got lost in the ether with me with all the kids being born and stuff like that. So like I'm not like super like I recognize her face if I saw a picture of her face, but like I'm not super familiar with her earlier stuff. But I do know she was a successful solo artist before the context of this band.
When you say successful
We're not talking about like
platinum artist,
probably not. I mean, I don't know that there's like um
big following.
yeah, big following is probably a better way to say it. It's
Okay.
she's kind of not on the Indigo Girls level, but like that kind
Okay.
of
Okay.
having and her music doesn't sound like that necessarily either, but it's that kind of
No, that's a fair reference point.
like a huge following. They're not selling a bazillion albums, I don't think.
It was just a curiosity question.
Yeah.
hmm
So what
That
did
was
you
just like
hear?
that. That
What did you hear in this or whatever?
um, she has some it power.
Hmm.
So there's some traces of like Stevie Nicks to her, like
Yeah.
where it's like where you don't quite know what it is about her, but there is something about her and something about her voice. Is
Hmm.
that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's some of what I've heard from listening. I haven't heard the whole album yet, but I have started listening to the album.
Hmm.
And so I do hear some like Stevie Nicks inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it is absolutely a fair assessment. The way her voice sounds, like the songs,
No, not the songs,
I mean
but
the
her.
songs, but her their voices, yeah. I mean they have, and all three of them have really good voices too. This song to me has better bars than Tyler's song does. Like this, I love the lyric of this song, and I love how it's put together.
But this is also one of those records too. It makes me like, like, no, 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 I want to listen to Boy Genius. And when you told me that they were all
Right.
solo singers, the way they harmonize, you would never know.
Yeah, it's oh, the harmonies are gorgeous. Like they're
Harmonies are
so
brilliant.
good.
That's what I mean. I haven't listened to a
Yeah.
lot, but what I've heard, the harmonies are the part that's standing out to me about them
Hmm.
as a group.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful stuff.
I agree.
And yeah, like, and this is one of those albums, like you said, that when I heard the first four, like the first four that were released, they're called True Blue and $20 and this song Not Strong Enough and Emily, I'm Sorry. I was like, oh, and that's what you want when you're listening to new artists, or at least new to you artists, or at least new to me artists, is something to like catch your ear enough. You want to be like, oh, I want to have more. I want to hear more of this, and that's what you hope for. So it's on that kind of level for me for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Hey y'all, thanks for making it to the end of the video and thanks for hanging out. If you love this, make sure you like and share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.